Thank you very much, Randy. It's good to be with everybody again. We have, as I mentioned, a great program planned for you today. You're going to want to keystroke some notes, some websites, books, maybe some movies. I don't know what we'll be recommending tonight, but I think everything's fair game right now as we try to get everybody back on track so that you can get your career amped up and make up for some lost ground. We don't know if it could be 2 years before this darn thing is over with. And so we can call it a pause or a slowdown or a pandemic. We've already been through a recession, by the way, based on 2 declining quarters of GDP. The job market is a mess right now. So I think it's the people who get informed and get resourceful that are going to make the most of this. And I'm really proud that you're on tonight. I want to prime the pump a little bit and invite anybody that has an issue, a particular issue, job search, not making enough money, not enough time, maybe it's a time management issue, need to build your contact list. How do I get connected in an unconnected world? I want to meet certain people. Tell me what your problem is so that I can address your specific issue and it'll be a better program for you. I punched some links into chat that you can access for ways that you can keep your game leveled up. And I want to start by talking about something that would speed up your career immensely. I think it's something that everybody that's ever worked wants to do, even if they've never actually articulated it. And by the way, if somebody can help me keep track of the questions so that we can queue them up and get everybody happy.
Yep, that's Rachel. Rachel's your co-host and she is in charge of the chat box.
Okay, great. And Rachel, feel free to interrupt me anytime. I'd rather get the answers to them in real time than stack them up at the end, okay?
Will do.
Okay, cool. So this thing that everybody wants to do that some people never even articulate is, and I want you to write it down and think about it. It may not sound exactly like something you want to do, but it's in your best interest to pursue this. And that is to become a recognized expert in your area of expertise. Now, maybe you're not going to school to become a recognized expert. Maybe you're on the job right now and you don't think of yourself that way. But trust me when I tell you that becoming a recognized expert is the flywheel that spins faster and allows everything else to occur for you. All the important things in life. Not starting at the bottom of the pyramid, making money, helping more people, advancing more quickly, right? Becoming this recognized expert is really, really the key. And there are ways that you can speed this up, specific ways that I want to share with you tonight. I'm going to tell you what the 2 ways are, and then I'm going to give you examples about how you can do it. So again, maybe they teach you this stuff in school. I'm kind of doubting that they're teaching you at work. You've got your hands full with other responsibilities at work. So I think this might be just what you need to as Reggie Jackson used to say, baseball player, he said this was the straw that stirred the drink, okay? So you all have good ingredients and you're cooking, you're getting ready to make things happen, but you need that action, that thing that stirs the drink and makes the action happen. So there are 2 ways that you can speed up the flywheel in your career. And the first is this idea of becoming an industry expert is that you should write in the area of your expertise, right? When you become a published author in your area of expertise. Now, what does published mean? The thing everybody thinks about is, well, I need to write a book. And by the way, that would be good for your career if you could write a book on something. But writing a book is very involved. It can take up to 18 months to birth a book. And by the way, you're busy doing other stuff and you've never written a book before. So I recommend publishing a special report or even a tip sheet. It can be a simple PDF, everybody. Think about this. The top 10 ways to do this. Like if I'm talking to realtors, I say, you guys are experts in moving. And when people are getting ready to move, their head's on fire. You know, they have so many things on their minds. You should publish a tip sheet, 10 things to make your move successful, right? And then you put all of your contact information on the bottom of it. If you were a realtor, your realty company, your name, phone number, website, all that stuff. And they see, well, this guy's an advocate, or this lady knows what she's talking about. And they're more likely to call you when it's time for them to move. The other thing that's interesting is in industry circles, they will call on you as somebody who knows what they're doing. Maybe they need a white paper for the Chamber of Commerce, or maybe they need speakers. We'll get to speaking in just a second. But that tip sheet is a really quick way to make your bones in any business. And as soon as you save that Word doc to a PDF, you are a published author. You could publish a book, or you could publish a PDF. All in favor of the PDF, hands up. By the way, there's in the system tray down below, there's a thing called reactions. If you'd all click on it for me, you'll see that there's a chance to applaud, give me a thumbs up, like something I said. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Kaylee. So if you agree with something I say, if it resonates with you, if you want more of it, give me the thumbs up. That's our little signal. And you'll notice, by the way, everybody, there is no thumbs down button. There is no disagreeing with the speaker this evening. Thank you. I'm just kidding. I love pushback. Give it to me. Give it to me in comments. And you know, we don't have so many people on tonight that you can't actually unmute yourself and just start talking. Like real life, that would be fine too. Welcome to Katie and Diane and Shelly, all these new people. Hey, Heinz, how are you? Nice to see you, brother. Pedro's with us tonight. Steve Cook, Garrett. I'm mentioning your names for a reason. Amanda, Dave Milligan, Arnie, thank you very much for attending. So this idea of getting published separates you from the rest of the people. Imagine you're applying for a job and people say, well, what have you done? You know, and you say, well, I'm a published author. Can you imagine what the potential employer does when you say I'm a published author? They lean in, they cock their head, say what now? Because they don't hear that very often from young people, right? So you're already in front of it. And they'll say, I'd like to read that. Can you send me a copy? Now you got another fan, which is cool. So these are some easy ways to build your brand as a writer. Now, writing is hard. So there's an easier way to build your brand. And that is the second way to become known as an industry expert. And that is speaking. So you would speak in your area of expertise. Now let's start at the top of the pyramid and work our way down. The apogee in the speaking business is called the keynote speaker, something I've been doing for 20 years. Keynotes get the top fees, they get the best gigs, they get the best audiences, right? They get to help the most people. And it's hard to get to the top of the triangle like any industry, but you can get there and you can use these techniques that I'm showing you tonight to become a keynote speaker. But on your way to becoming a keynote speaker at the top of the triangle, you will become a breakout speaker, or you will become a speaker at a Zoom meeting. Thumbs up if you've attended a Zoom meeting in the last 30 days besides this one. Almost everybody, right? It's not even a funny question anymore. Keep your thumbs up if you've spoken. I mean, you're like the featured speaker at a Zoom meeting. Cool, I like it. Shelly, tell us more. Was it a business meeting of some sort?
About this to many different Rotary clubs.
Okay. And you were the featured speaker. You had something to present to the group?
Right.
Great, thank you. Amanda, you had your hand up also. Were you doing breakout or were you the keynote speaker? Tell us more.
I was leading a committee.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
I was leading a committee.
Okay, very good. So in some ways you were the authority figure on the call and you had what we call in the business the power of the microphone or podium power. There's something magical about our society. Some people refer to it as celebrity worship. I just say it's magical. That if you're the speaker at an event, you are somehow held in higher esteem than all the other attendees. I'm not saying it's legit. I'm not saying it's right, but the person at the microphone is the most popular person in the room. And if you've got content and some game, you are the VIP, man. Everybody wants to meet you. And that's why it's a good spot to have.
Michael, can I share a quick story?
For sure.
Yeah, so Jaylee gained celebrity status at a recent Satellite Club meeting because she volunteered to do a Rotary Minute. So she did research and found Rotary's first service project ever.
Oh, fantastic.
Expert.
And how did it feel delivering that Rotary Minute? Jaylee?
It wasn't too bad. Actually, Jeff, it was one of the other girls on the team. But thanks for the shout out.
Oh, well, I could have swore it was you, but
I was there, but it wasn't me.
okay, I'm sorry.
So here's an interesting thing about speaking now, and it's a word to the wise about everybody getting ready to do this. The average person speaks at about 150 words a minute, between 150 and 160. So if you truly did a Rotary Minute, Jaylee, anybody, you'd have about 150 words to express yourself. And this is why the art of speaking is so important. Most people wing it, everybody. We have another professional speaker on the call with us today. Heinz is with us. Heinz, take yourself off mute and say hello.
Hello.
And Heinz understands the power of word choice, which you would use both in writing and in speaking. Hi, Heinz.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Excited to be here, as always.
Thank you. It's good to have you here, sir. And so Cindy Parsons knows from we do some YouTube work together, that in the YouTube description, you use 5,000 characters to tell everybody what the video is about. And the order of the words is important. So we're using all of these strategies to become better communicators so that when people meet us, they're psychologically attracted to us. They want to interview us a second time. They want to give us an opportunity on a project where other people want that same opportunity. Or they want to hire us, even when nobody else has looked at us. And these are some of the things that we can do to get this going. When it comes to being a better speaker, I told you, first thing you want is maybe keynotes, but then you would look at things like breakout sessions at events. Eventually, we're going to open up and get there. Meanwhile, it's the featured speaker at Zoom events. So you should develop what is called a tight 20. And we're talking about 20 minutes. So Katie, if you were going to speak about something for 20 minutes, do you have some passion about hobbies or things that you like to do, or maybe something from work that you're really good at? What could that tight 20 be about?
Yeah, definitely. I recently passed one of my exams for work. I just got my Series 7, so I'm working on becoming a financial advisor. So I'm really excited about that, and I think that at some point soon, maybe I would be like interacting with clients, but my 20-minute spiel would be with them, talking to them about their finances. Yeah, something like that.
I don't know how old you are, but you seem like a young person, very young to have a Series 7. Am I right about that?
Well, I'm 23, so.
That's pretty young to have a Series 7. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah.
You could talk about time management because you're getting it done, and I'm proud of you. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is it doesn't have to be exactly about your area of expertise. You don't have to be the sharpest, in this case, financial planner, to get a gig speaking at the Financial Planning Summit. In fact, although I teach presentation skills now, I've taught all kinds of stuff in my career. I got started initially, and this is interesting, Katie. I taught a class to would-be accountants. It was called Accounting for Non-Bean Counters. It was the very first class I did. I've also taught how to deal with difficult people in the early days. So it's conflict resolution, time management, all kinds of things on the way up. And that's how I think you get really comfortable in front of an audience. By the way, not for nothing, I also came up through the music business. So my brothers and I were called the Caruso brothers. We did over 2,000 musical performances opening for acts like Rick Springfield, Corey Hart, Joan Jett. Thumbs up if you know these names. Yeah, and Katie, who is 23, said, I got nothing.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It's happening more and more often, Katie. Shelley remembers Rick Springfield, don't you? So what I'm getting at here is that whatever your tight 20 is, you just develop it and you become that person. Time management in your industry, Katie's the person to go to. And then you develop this type. And this is called a brand within a brand. Because you're too young to own your own firm or your own company, or you're not accomplished enough yet, but you become the such and such person at the firm. You with me? And then if you become that person within the firm, pretty soon you become that person in your city or in your county or in the state of Michigan, right? And your sphere of influence grows over time because your reputation is starting to grow. And when you have a brand within a brand, you become an entity that people want to be close to. They want you on their committee. They want to hire you. They want you to write an article for their blog, right? Or they want you to speak at their event. And this is how it gets going. These are the only two ways, ladies and gentlemen, speaking and writing. Speaking's the harder one. Writing's the harder one. Speaking's the easier one. So let's get it going. Now, there is another thing that you can do to get both of these things going, and that is just a simple reach out. It used to be simpler, but now it's becoming complicated, and maybe some young people on the call can educate me on this. When I was Katie's age, at age 23, if I wanted to call somebody on the phone, guess what I would do? I would call them. But today, there is a big thing, like, I don't know if it's call reluctance or what the hell's going on. Garrett's smiling. Pedro's smiling. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Take yourselves off mute and explain this phenomenon to me. Why don't people make phone calls anymore?
I don't actually know. I'm a call guy. If I need to solve something, I'm just going to call and resolve it. But I have a lot of friends who don't like calling at all. So it is a struggle. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Garrett, what's your theory?
Yeah, I've actually thought a lot about this when my undergrad classes, and it's just with the huge technological boost and everything's going on. I feel like people are just getting more distance socially. It's no different than how people back then, if you wanted to go over to someone's house, you just go up to their door and knock. Nowadays, it's people texting each other saying, "Hey, I'm outside," and it's just totally different. And
Yeah.
I don't know. That's something really interesting. But
I'm drilling down on this for a minute because I do know a bit of advice that's going to help you, but I want you to sit in the psychology for a minute about what exactly is happening. So everybody has a phone. I'm holding my phone one day, and I get a text from somebody who asked me if it would be okay if they call me. This happened a long time ago. It's since happened hundreds of times, right? So people text me to see if it would be okay to call me. So what do you think I text back? Sure, I'm available right now. And what do they text back? Well, can I make an appointment with you? One guy called me, I'm talking to him on the phone, and he says, would it be okay if we talk sometime? I'm like, how about now? And I must have caught him by surprise because he had nothing. He wanted to make an appointment. And what I'm trying to tell you is you can separate yourself from the rest of the pack by just dialing the friggin' phone, everybody. Lots of people have their phone number in their LinkedIn profile. I do. You don't have to hit me up on an appointment to call me. And if I don't know who you are, it is true, I'm one of those people, I don't answer strange numbers. But if you leave me voicemail and you're a decent person, I'll call you back. That's how I roll. And I think a lot of people are like this.
Lori just made a good comment. and I hope you don't mind, Lori, that I bring it up because I wanted to kind of elaborate. She said it's about respecting other people's time.
Okay.
Yeah. And to elaborate on that, I just add that I don't know if the person I'm phoning is in the middle of something and they can mentally engage with whatever I'm going to throw at them. So I'm asking them that when they have the capacity, let's connect and discuss something. And I experienced that on the incoming side. I'm working on something for client A and the phone rings and it's client B and they want to take me in this direction. I'm dropping the ball on client A.
Okay. Do you, and Lori, everybody's different. Of course, you can decide how you want to manage your own thing. There was a guy by the name of Gordon Matthews who invented a thing called voicemail about 30 years ago. And he's dead now. But Gordon Matthews is rolling over in his grave, wondering why people don't use voicemail. Because the person A, you can stay on the phone with person A, you see it's person B, and you go, well, I don't want to talk to person B right now. It'll go to voicemail, I'll call him later. Yeah. And that's what I do. And you're right, everybody's different. But I will bet you all the money in my front left pocket, if you just start reaching out to people, you're going to get more connections than aggravated people. And if they get aggravated, they're aggravated at themselves for picking up the phone. Why would they do that if they didn't want to talk to you? Mm-hmm. So I'm just telling you, Lori, having been around a while, this is not how it was 10 years ago. It's a new thing. And it's not good for somebody who's trying to make book. You know what I mean by make book? In the old days, we used to have this thing called a Rolodex, and you put people's business cards in it, and you'd spin it to find it. Now it's contact lists on your phone. So if you're trying to build your contact list, you have to start calling people. You have to start saying, hey, and reaching out. And I think we're doing it wrong. This is what I'm getting at. And I'm going to tell you the solution. Like on LinkedIn, that's a big thing, a big place for people to go to make contacts. So the thing on LinkedIn now, and I get 10 of them a day. Apparently I'm a target. is that people would go to LinkedIn, they go, and the message is something, you can tell it's a copy paste because they're trying to save time. I don't blame them. And the copy paste is, hey, Michael, your job looks really interesting. I'm trying to make contacts and I just thought it would be fun for us to, chat by phone sometime. Would you be open to doing that? And guess what the answer is, Lori? No, the answer is no. So why did they put that in their chat? It's so you know how many, like I have, I think 6,000 connections on LinkedIn. I wish I had time to talk to all of them, but I don't. But it's that fake thing. It's that artificial, why would I want to talk to you? I don't even know who you are. So we have to figure this out if it's going to serve us. When you reach out to people, you reach out for a reason. So instead of reaching out to call them, you reach out to what? Compliment them. That's what I wanted to tell you tonight. So on LinkedIn, instead of offering a chance to talk to a total stranger about who knows what, I can't tell what it's about sometimes, just compliment them and see if they ping it back. It's tennis, everybody. You hit the ball over the net and you wait for them to hit it back. And if they don't hit it back, they don't want to talk to you. If the compliment is sincere and well-founded, they'll reply, and because they're a decent person. And that's who you want in your book, decent people. Make sense, Lori?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. So on LinkedIn, everybody, you need 500 contacts to go pro. If you don't have 500 contacts, like HR departments are looking at your, like you go into your interview and you go, yeah, but I'm a people person. And they go to your LinkedIn and you only have 195 contacts, something's not right. They want to see 500 plus. They don't show the number over 500, by the way, it just says 500 plus. That's why it's called going pro. So load it up, get it going. And LinkedIn is the only social media platform where you can actually search city and title. So let's say you're in sales. You can type in Michigan sales and guess who comes up in the search? You can't do that on Facebook. You can't do it on Twitter. You certainly can't do it on Insta. So figure it out. Go to LinkedIn and just try to ingratiate yourself with people that can hire you. I'm in the speaking business, so I want to meet meeting planners. And the initials after the meeting planners' names are CMP. Those three letters never show up anyplace else in the English language. So I go to LinkedIn and I type CMP. You can do it right now in your browser. You type CMP Michigan and all the meeting planners in Michigan come up. And I just start reaching out to them with compliments. Guess what the compliment is for somebody I don't know? Has anybody done this? Well, first of all, let's get beyond the psychology of it. Is it okay for me to compliment somebody I don't know? Yes or no? Thumbs up if it's true. I especially want to hear from you if you disagree. Is it weird? Creepy? There's a chance, by the way, the person finds the compliment creepy. 100% chance. I'll deal with that then. Most people will accept the compliment, especially if it's well grounded. So the compliment is something like this, and it's always sincere. Either I heard good things about you or I heard good things about your company. So the safe one is company. I've heard good things about your company. Thanks for all you do to keep the standard high in the industry. That's the message. You can have it. Copy paste it. It works like a charm. And they don't get many messages like that. They get a ton of messages that say, hey, I sure would like to call you so we can chat about something and I can pitch. That's really what that's about. But when you leave that compliment, they go, this is a sincere person. This is something that somebody that's not taking the normal route on LinkedIn, the cheesy route. And you'll find that you can develop dialogue with people that way. Don't push too hard on your pitch, is my point. Okay? So pick up the phone and call people and don't go on and on in your voicemail. Be very sincere. 60 seconds, 150 words. You should be able to articulate in 60 seconds. My name is so-and-so. I hear good things about you and your company. I'm looking to get started in the business and I have a couple of specific questions to ask. I only need 15 minutes of your time.
Michael, there's a couple comments I wanted to just bring in right now if it's a good time.
Sure.
Hyatt said many people just don't answer the phone. They'd let
That's
it go
true.
for a and then, so I'm just throwing these out there because these are obstacles for what you're helping us or teaching us to do. The second one is some people do have phone anxiety, and technology has given them a way to be more comfortable with their communication. So those two things make it hard if you are trying to call. I just wanted to bring up those two comments.
Yeah, I'm here to help. So with the voicemail problem, again, the general accepted practice is that you have one of two options. You can leave a voicemail or you don't have to. Now, some people are of the theory, and I've taught cold calling to call centers. I used to make a living making 50 outbound calls a day to people I didn't know to try to get them to spend money to buy phone equipment. So I know about this stuff, and I got a ton of voicemail. But you get crafty about it after a while, maybe you don't leave it the first 2 times, then you call it the edges of the day. I get the best Twitter conversations on Sunday morning. You know why? People's guards are down. They got time, they're relaxed. Sunday morning, man, that's the time to tweet if you want conversation. So you either leave the voicemail or you don't. I would not call every day, although there's a famous movie called Wall Street where this guy gets to Gordon Gekko by calling him every day. It was that same formula. And one day he catches him in a weak moment. I think he sends him some Cuban cigars or something, and he gets through. So everybody's got their own method for doing this. But here's the thing. If the quality of your life depended on your ability to reach people, to reach a particular person, could you do it? The answer is yes. But you're going to have to put your nose to the grindstone and do it. Rachel says the second question was, I have phone anxiety. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. You might have people anxiety too. But if you're going to make it in the business world, you're going to have to figure out a way to communicate with people. I mean, I appreciate your honesty about phone anxiety, but you can get help for it. You can get used to it. You can have some, Seth Godin calls them success fast feedback loops, where you make a couple of calls. Susan Jeffers wrote a book a long time ago called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. You would just make those calls, push through it, get the success, and then you feel better. That's why, you know, anybody that has anxiety, it's because they didn't have success in the first place. I mean, I'm happy to talk to whoever's asking the questions and do a deeper dive, but that's the short answer to it. Other questions, Rachel?
No, those are mostly comments. I think the phone anxiety comment was more of a, not necessarily that anybody here may feel that way, but that it exists in
Oh,
general.
for sure. Yeah.
And I think that can be an overall obstacle for the general phone communication as it is today.
100%. I mean, there are tons of people in sales, professional salespeople who have anxiety about closing, or they have a psychological phenomenon called call reluctance, where they just won't make the outbound calls. They keep calling people they're already doing business with, but they can never grow their book of business because they can't call somebody they don't know. They don't have it in them. They don't have the courage, or they don't like rejection. That's a big thing, you know. And I'm just saying, get used to this when you're young, because it's even harder. You know, if you don't do it when you're in your 20s, it's even harder when you get into your 30s and 40s. Because there's a thing called the routine groove rut, you know? And once you get in the rut, it's really hard to get out. Okay, cool. We're seeing some more comments. Heinz agrees. Heinz says 100%. Many people don't answer the phone, let it go to voicemail or ignore. Yep. It's about respecting the other person's time. Thank you, Lori. Samantha, I think there are a certain group of people that have phone anxiety. There it is. Yep. And so you know somebody. Yeah. Texting made this much more comfortable, for sure. Yeah. I mean, everybody, you go with your strengths, right? But we're all competing for jobs, everybody. And the person who has the more well-rounded skill set often gets the gig, often makes more money if money's important to you, or has the better quality of life because they were able to figure it out. We want everybody to be successful, but I'm just telling you what best practices are.
May I add something?
Yeah.
I think I'm on page 2 because I'm raising my hand and no one's seeing it. I'm a retired school counselor, but and Heinz just put the comment on of what I was going to say, and that I really feel like, because of hearing difficulties too, I need to see a person talking, because there's so much more I hear when I see them talking, not just their words. And so I always thought I could never be a crisis counselor on a phone at a phone bank.
Yeah.
But like Heinz just said, I would prepare, like, what do I want to make sure I say to this person before I call them? And then as they're talking, I'm writing down key things they're saying just to help me stay with what they've said. And I don't have to stop listening because I'm trying to think of what I want to say next. It just helps me to be more present with that conversation.
Excellent. You know, I think a lot of people feel pressure. Is it Valerie?
Yes.
Feel pressure, like they have to be the dancing bear in these conversations, you know, that all of the weight of the world is on their shoulders to make it happen. And my experience is, if you really want to build relationships with people, just be the better listener, like you're suggesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, some of you are looking for mentors, and everybody knows this. Every good relationship is reciprocal. You know what that means, right? So if you have a mentor and a mentee, what's the mentee getting from the relationship? Y'all can answer this, right? Anybody? What's the mentee getting? Talk to me.
Guidance.
Guidance, help, right? What's the mentor getting from the relationship? Can anybody tell me?
Feeling their value still.
Satisfaction.
Yeah, they feel good about helping, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
They feel good about being involved. And so if your mentor, the way to get mentors is to help that person feel good about themselves. It's almost counterintuitive, because you think all of this is going to flow down to the mentee, but it's a reciprocal relationship. My dad retired young from Ford Motor Company, and people would ask him at wedding receptions and we took him to events and stuff. My mom had already passed. My parents died young, when I was young. And people would ask my dad what he did for a living, but he was retired. So he had to come up with something because it was always dead air. You know, when he said, well, I don't do anything, I'm retired. So he came up with this clever thing. And I just think it's brilliant. They would say, what do you do for a living, Mickey? And my dad said, my job is to help other people feel good about themselves. Isn't that great?
Very good.
So imagine that as a young person, and you're trying to curry favor with people so that they can help you up the ladder, and you have nothing to offer them. You don't have any money yet. You don't have any contacts yet. You know, they've got everything. You have nothing. That's sometimes how young people feel. But you can make that older person feel good. That's worth a lot. Somebody had also mentioned in comments about words that should be used in YouTube videos. If you take yourself off mute, we can talk about this. But it's an important question, and not just with regard to YouTube descriptions, but which words should you be using when you're building relationships with people? And it turns out you can talk in keywords in the same way that we use keywords online, right? I call it the reverse presentation. So if I'm trying to do something with you, instead of me coming in, talk, I'll ask you a couple of key questions about your perspective on the issue so that I can get your keywords. And then I use your keywords back with you. And that creates a kind of synchronicity within the conversation. You with me on this, right? Whereas if I just launch into my thing, I have no idea what your keywords are. Like I use complete phrases back with people when I'm in conversation with them. They'll say something like, well, that's really keeping me up at night. And I go, you know, as if it's on the phone, right? I'm writing it down, keeping me up at night. I'm going to use that phrase back with him because that's how he talks. So these are just little tricks, I think, to build relationships with people faster than you otherwise might. Let's open it up for questions. Anything you want to ask, take yourself off mute or just type it in. I'm noticing in chat, Rachel, you can help me with this if you want. I think we're down to Katie, maybe, working in sales.
Yep, we are. And then there's a couple comments right after, but the only one that we hadn't gone back to yet was Randy's YouTube I had queued up, but you just went to that. So Katie is next, working in sales. I have major phone anxiety, and I've had to force myself out of it by just picking up the phone and dialing. It really works.
Yeah, 100%. One other thing about the YouTube description, and this is true in real life too, is in the YouTube description, there's a theory. Nobody really knows how the algorithm works, but there's a theory that the most important word should be at the top of the description, say, than at the bottom. This is called the power structure. And one of the longest running shows on television uses the power structure. So I'm talking about Saturday Night Live, which Saturday Night Live always has the most powerful skit at the top of the program, not at 11:30 when the show comes on, not at the end of the show when far fewer people are watching. So if you're pitching, you want to make sure that you get those keywords or get that value proposition up front. Don't go down this long, windy conversational trail because the people just go, oh no, we got another young person on the call, you know. One thing I would recommend, and guys, it may sound harsh when I talk about it like this, I'm just being direct. If you're young, you want to act older because it makes people think that you're seasoned or that you're sophisticated or that you're worth more to them, right? Younger people talk fast. So how do you act older? You just talk slower. Instead of coming in at 190 words a minute, try coming in at about 160. Try to use what's called a $100 word or a $1,000 word instead of saying the same words over and over again, like, or basically is a word we use a lot. If somebody uses the word basically a lot, I start to think they can't talk in specifics. You see? It's just a little game. It's a word game. You guys know what word, you play games all the time. Make it a word game and win the word game every single time. Cool. Let's jump down to the sales comment. Sorry, I'm losing track. Can you help, Rachel? Was it Katie?
So, yep, Katie had left a comment right after the other one. Yes, we had just started talking about that, but we jumped back to the YouTube. She said she works in sales and she has phone anxiety, but she just forced herself by picking up the phone and dialing, and she said it really works.
Good, excellent. That's how it works, man. You jump in the pool and you learn how to swim, and it's hard. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Bravo, Katie.
To
Nice success
piggyback,
story.
we kind of have a piggyback comment on that from right afterwards from Garrett. I think they go hand in hand. I make many calls to insurance companies, clinics, patients. Sometimes I push off the call because I doubt myself to handle the situation. I found that the 5-second rule works for me. I count down from 5, and at 1, I just dial the number, throw myself into the situation.
Nice. You can use a 3-second rule during the actual call where the person says something to you. Watch my hands. I'll kind of act this out for you. So I'm talking on the phone and I'm writing, and the person says something, but now I'm stuck. And so I say to the person, that's really interesting. I'm writing that down. You see? And it's all legit. It is really interesting, and I'm writing it down. But what else is happening in that 3 seconds? I'm stalling for time so I can get my act together and say something intelligent. So let me think about that for a second. That's really interesting. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to keep your composure when you have a few of these little tricks up your sleeve. They're tricks, but nobody gets hurt, right? Like a magic trick.
Michael, Henry has I think a question or a comment. He's got his hand raised.
I just wanted to mention I was a sales manager and a salesman for a good number of years. And I would do a lot of role playing with my new salespeople just to get them comfortable using the phone and that sort of thing. We might do 100 role plays in a day during training.
Yeah.
And then later on, if they had a certain client they were having trouble getting an appointment with, and I'd say, what kind of objections are you getting? And then we'd not only go over them, but then we'd role play. I'd play the part of the client, and they would be trying to make an appointment with me. So that works very well. You can really kind of get over it using a lot of practice. So.
And you know what's most interesting about what Henry just said is when he was talking about objections, it's typically used in sales, that somebody has an objection to actually purchasing from you. But objections happen in all conversations. Let's go back to the mentoring thing. I was just hoping that you could give me a few minutes of your time. And the guy goes, well, I'm really busy. And now you get stuck, right? Oh my God, he's really busy. I must have offended him. No, he just said he was really busy. Could you have thought about that in advance so that you knew what to say when he said, I'm really busy? Because there is stuff to say. Like what?
Can I make an appointment?
What's that?
Can I make an appointment?
That's right. Can I make an appointment? That's a good one. I use humor a lot. So sometimes I just say, I'll make it worth your time. And they start laughing. And they go, well, this guy's human. This guy's fun. If it's fun, aren't they more likely to walk towards you? Right? Not everybody can do the humor card. So you have to kind of it's like a little tool belt, and you pull out the tool that you need in that moment. So I love how you're being open to these ideas, guys, because you can figure this out, and it's really good for you to do this. And then who knows, one day you'll be able to repay the favor, pay it forward. You'll give a class just like this, and you'll help some young people. It's a beautiful thing. What else we have?
Sorry, Michael, I had to unmute myself. Heinz had left a good comment earlier when we were talking about the phones and the anxiety of the phone. Listen and to understand and feel. Can't listen with your mouth open.
Yeah.
Lori Brown would like to know if time allows, love to hear some thoughts on interview skills and switching from a sales role to a manager role. That's a good question.
This is Lori.
Yes.
Unmute Lori so we can chat. Are you interviewing now?
Potentially in a couple weeks.
Okay. And so what are you bumping up against, if anything, or is this just a wide open question about interviewing?
So specific to the role, it would be switching from sales to a leadership role, managing a team. And it's kind of two different worlds. And those who are good at sales are not always good at management and leading, and those who are good at management or leadership aren't always good at sales. So I guess navigating that.
Yeah. Well, and I try to always look at the mirror. Like this is a window pane, and you just said, leadership and sales are not mutually exclusive. But if you look at the mirror from the other way, lots of sales people get promoted to sales manager. So they have both stripes, or they're able to develop both stripes over time. So it's a question of a value prop again. Are you moving from sales to leader? Is that what you'd like to do?
Potentially, yes.
Okay. So it's just like reconfiguring yourself, getting your CV sorted out, reading some books, finding some mentors. And by the way, the mentor can be somebody you physically know, or it can just be podcast people that turn you on. And you start to use their language and talk like they do. One of the easiest tricks I know, Lori, is to cite passages from books. Because think about this, guys. You're either going to cite a passage from a book the other person read, which affirms them. You know, this person reads the same books I do. Or you're going to cite a passage from a book they haven't read, and now they worry they haven't read a book that you have. Either way, you win. Readers are leaders. So you always want to have a book with you. It's rare. I don't have, they're over here. We're just out of reach. But it's not unusual for me to hold up a book in a webinar like this and show you that I'm reading it right now, right? You'll see books. You see books on the floor over here. You see books on the shelf over here. There's books over here. I'm actually showing you I'm a reader with what I have in the background. Right, Lori? Looks like you're comfortable maybe in your living room. So when you're getting
My bookshelf is right there.
Okay. So when you're getting ready to do your interview for the leadership, you're going to turn the camera around so the bookshelf is behind you. You send a signal to that person. These are my books. I've read them. That's a pretty cool signal to send.
I like that. Thank you.
I like how you think. You know, you're strategizing this. You don't have to leave it to chance, and it's brilliant. Cool. Who else?
We've got some comments in here that, I mean, I think a lot of these comments in the chat, if you guys read through them, there's some good stuff. The next question, specific question we have is, how do you get invitations to be a breakout speaker? From Cindy.
Okay. And Cindy, you can take off mute if you want. I think first you have to understand that if you open up this can of worms, you're going to get some action. So make it a topic that you want to talk about. Make it something that's interesting to you, something that you like to do, because it's going to happen. Then you start throwing energy out to the universe that you're interested in speaking, right? So when I first got started in the business, nobody knew I was a speaker. I had to tell people I was a speaker. So I got a business card printed. This was before LinkedIn, right? I had to get a business card printed, and it said speaker on it. Like I didn't even know what to put. Oh, I better put I'm a speaker. That's clear enough. And then, so I started handing the card out to people. And I would hand them the card at Chamber of Commerce receptions, whatever. They'd look at the card and they go, oh, you're a speaker. What do you speak about? And that's the straw that stirred the drink, just having that word on the business card. It was amazing. Then I wrote a book, but nobody knew I wrote the book. So I had to reprint the damn business card to say speaker and author. And then I would hand the card to them and say, oh, you're an author. What book have you written? And then I would say, well, thanks for asking. And I wrote a book about such and such. And then they go, well, do you speak about that book? Funny you should ask. And then I started getting speaking engagements about the book. And the formula has not changed, right? We still use business cards. What might have shifted temporarily is this idea of a pandemic where it's harder to get your business cards out to people. I haven't used a business card in 9 months. But the new business card is LinkedIn, for example, or whatever. Here's another great idea, you guys. You should start collecting testimonials about you as a person. If you can't get one for you as, being the most amazing financial planner because you haven't been alive long enough to do it, get testimonials about your character. Kaylee is an amazing human being. She's got such a good heart and she's very conscientious, right? And you get that ideally in a LinkedIn, it's called, not a recommendation, but a what? It is recommendation on LinkedIn. And then you can do screenshots of it because the only people that ever see it would be the people on LinkedIn. Your Facebook friends would never see it. The people that you're sending your CV to would never see it. necessarily. So you do screenshot and then you insert it in the document, or you do a screenshot and you dump that JPEG to Facebook. And it's not bragging. You just say, look, this made my day. Sometimes I repurpose, like I post a second time to Facebook, I go, it made my day again. You know, because if people say good things about you, they're often saying things you wouldn't even say about yourself. And you deserve it. You are that person. That's who they think of you as. So blow your own horn, ladies and gentlemen. Cindy, does that help? That's it, man.
We have another question from, and I hope I say your name right, Janae. Apologies if I said that wrong. She says, thanks for modeling excellent listening skills, reflective listening. Tell me more. How can we be better listeners?
Good one.
She also
Okay.
apologizes for being muted because she's traveling. So just
No worries. Don't drive off the road. It'll dump your phone and then I'll be an accessory to a crime. Let's do some things called active listening. So you're not watching the video, I assume, Janae. So I'm going to describe what I'm doing as I do it with the people that are watching. Active listening techniques. One of my favorites is the pen in hand. Now, young people aren't using pens anymore. You know, you're keystrokking, and that's fine. But there's nothing like that visual, right, that you're writing. So sometimes in programs like this, I'll be talking and I'm gesturing with a pen during the Q&A session, right? Why am I doing that? Because I'm writing down what you're saying, or I'm making notes of who I'm talking to, right? Same thing if you're on a Zoom session with somebody and they're talking to you, you're taking notes about what they're saying. It's like saying, I value what you're saying to me. I value you. I mean, I don't think this can be understated. Second technique is called the thinker pose. And all you do is what Valerie's doing right now. You move one of your hands to the lower part of your face like this. Let's all do it together. This is based on Rodin's statue, The Thinker. And you can do it even in Zoom calls like this. You go, oh, that's interesting, right? And it works like a charm. It's very powerful. Watch, I'll do both at the same time. Pen in hand, hand goes to the chin like this. I'm taking a break from writing down what you say, which is very valuable, to reflect and think about it because it's super valuable. I mean, it's amazing. Another good one, technique number 3 is called the head nod. And so you would nod your head, not crazy, you know, not a bobblehead, but just nice and easy, you know, like I get it, like this. Technique number 4 is called the eye crinkle. So there's different types of smile, you know. You don't want to be like creepy about it. And so you just crinkle your eyes a little bit, turn up the corners of your mouth just a little bit, and you nod at the same time, right? And I will tell you something, when I'm on Zoom calls and somebody's nodding their head, you become my BFF, because most people don't do that. Shelly's doing it right now. Shelly, I feel closer to you. So those are 4 quick techniques for active listening. I hope it helps.
A comment, folks wearing masks, do you to communicate with their eyes? Yeah. I think that is so important because people can smile with their eyes.
Yes. And I like the head nod too, Scott, because that's like a double yes, you know. Smile, if you think about it, a smile is the same as a wince. Can you see my eyes? Like I'm in pain right now. I'm wincing. But when I nod my head, I'm not in pain. I must be enjoying it, right? I must be liking what's happening. So it's like this combination platter, and you have all these tools available to you, right? But I think it would be helpful for everybody that's in this class to be more emotive. Make it really clear how you feel, right? I can tell you as a professional speaker, it's hard to read an audience because everyone's using what's called the resting face. It's the same face you'll have in your casket. So be lifelike.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Michael.
Yes.
Pedro has a good idea. I don't know if anybody saw it in the chat. He said, considering we have both young and experienced professionals here, I suggest sharing our LinkedIn links get some extra connections tonight. So if you'd like to go ahead and share your LinkedIn profile, just cut and paste the URL over there if you'd like. I'm going.
Yeah, please do. I'll tell you a trick too. I don't know how ambitious our meeting planners are tonight, but all of the chat notes are going into what's called a text file, TXT, and that text file can be sent to all the registrants. So all of these links and all these comments and certainly the LinkedIn. Now the problem is when you send the text file to people, it won't be clickable, but they may be clickable here in real time. But we're going to put everybody to work if we do. There they are, clickable. Yep. Love it. Thank you, Pedro. Let's do a couple more questions, everybody. We'll wrap up. I hope it's been useful to you. Thumbs up if you've gained some tips on how to get your career ramped up. We promised you, thank you. We promised you some bullet points earlier on. If there's something that you didn't get enough of, now's your time to ask that so we can dig with a bigger shovel. Did we miss out on anything for anybody?
I'm doing a double check right now, Michael.
Thank you.
There's some comments. I think we got all the questions, a couple of comments. I just have to do this just because I'm a little bit of a smart aleck. Bruce and Valerie said, literally is another word that makes me roll my eyes. I think we were talking about words that are used too much. I literally do this, I just have to say.
Yeah, literally.
I catch myself to it, but I have a teenage son and I have a tween son and I am around them and that's where that's coming from. So
yeah,
good comment.
It's funny how some words get hot, trendy for a while. Literally is certainly in vogue right now. The problem with literally is that it's used incorrectly so much of the time. You know, like if you say something like, literal means it actually happened, right? And so I literally laughed out loud is redundant, right? You could just say I laughed out loud. It's like saying I laughed out loud, literally. Well, that's the only way you could do it, right? It's just interesting to me. I agree with you, Rachel. It drives me crazy.
Michael, another word that's used a lot is perfect.
Perfect.
Conversations, or to confirm something.
Here's a word that...
Amazing is another one. Let's throw that in there.
Yeah.
In 2020, unprecedented.
Yes.
It's all so unprecedented.
Well deserved. Somebody told me one time that you could use the word amazing to describe nuclear fission or a coney dog, but not both. Because one of them's amazing and one of them's not. Here's a word that's not being said at all anymore. An entire generation of people has stopped saying, you're welcome. What do they say instead? What do you say instead? I'm talking to you, I guess, young people. You know?
All good. I think all good.
All good.
Sure thing.
Sure thing.
No problem.
No problem. So if you want to distinguish yourself again from everybody else that's applying for the job, actually say you're welcome. It's old school, but it'll set you apart from people that don't say it. I'm starting to sound like an old man here. Of the links that I shared earlier, everybody, one of them is, I think the one I didn't share was the link to my newsletter. So if you like this content, you can receive this, and it's a fun little newsletter. Every Friday, I'm going to write it tomorrow morning. And it's called the Friday 5. And you can get it at my website, michaelangelocaruso.com/Friday, no caps, -5, Friday -5. And the rest of the links are here. The Present Like a Pro group is for ongoing speaking tips. And for those of you that like learning via YouTube, go to YouTube, type in my full name, and then your favorite word: selling, leadership,